You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, Monday night live here on 94.9 FM and 950 on the AM dial, The Answer. And every week we also podcast it, we stream it, we put it everywhere you can find us. So you'll find us on Spotify and iTunes in a few days. You'll also find us on YouTube. So find us there, like us, subscribe us. Visit our website, contractortalkpodcast.com, or that's how you find us on YouTube, and you won't miss a show. I think it's just very handy for you to just pull up your phone, go to Spotify, plug in Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. As soon as you put in Contractor Talk, you'll see our logo. Click on it, subscribe us there, and you can listen to every show. This is live show, so you can always give us a call here. If you're going to call during the show between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday nights, you call in here, 407-774-8255. Again, 407-774-8255. If you have a question for myself or our guest, feel free to give us a call. We'll put you live on air. If you want to call and heckle the late Hans Kennon, you can do that as well, too, by the 407-774-8255. All right, so the band is all here tonight, and we're going strong. This is a great Monday, right leading up to the 4th of July, so already there are flags everywhere around this radio station, if there wasn't already here. But the stuff here is golden. I just love the I was going to say the attire, or just the
patriotic nature.
Yeah. Thank you, Hans. Patriotic nature here of the show. There you go. As we lead into the 4th of July, America, as it seems. What's going on, Hans? How are you doing tonight?
Good. Don't pay the ransom. I escaped.
Oh, good. Thank you. I almost hit the button.
I got the wire, and I'm in trial actually in Seminole County against Universal.
No way.
Yeah.
How's Todd doing these days?
I keep mentioning his name, and they keep making me they don't know who he is.
I don't know if he works much these days.
Because the other day when they were calling me, I said, "You call Todd." They made me an offer, and I said, "You call Todd and ask if he thinks we're going to blink. I'm not going to blink." She's like, "Well, it didn't come from Todd." Right. And today in the trial, I had a guy who came in, Mark Nation. You know Mark Nation.
Yeah, of course.
Mark's on vacation. I was telling him I was going to try this case. He said, "I'm off this week. Monday, where they're going to get the condo ready for us to spend a week there, and that means I got to do a lot of work. How would I come pick your jury with you instead?" So Mark came down, and Mark says to them, he goes, "You tell Todd to come see us." It was just funny. So everyone's talking about the mystical Todd.
Yes, Todd Brandt, the general counsel for Universal Property and Casualty Insurance. Guy's a hoot. I really like the guy, and he works for the other side, and he's just something else, man. I love seeing him at a conference and just talking shop with him, and it's just great, you know. It's a lot of fun stories. Let's just say that. But yeah. So this is a new week for us as we're now outside of the legislative session. And last week we were looking into what we thought maybe could have possibly passed, but policies are still getting worse. When we talk about insurance policy, homeowners insurance policies in the state of Florida, especially now that storm season has begun. Officially starts June 1st, and already we're into the second one, Barry, I think, and barreling around somewhere. And so this is going to be a busy season, let's just say the least. And so knowing what you have covered and within your insurance policy is very, let's just say, you need to know what's in your policy and what you have limited, capped, and what your exposure is.
Very much so. We had a discussion today. We had about 41 jurors report to Seminole County today for selections. We talked to 41 folks for most of the day. So I got here a couple minutes later. We were just finishing up with the jury selection and getting a jury picked. But it's interesting. A lot of people talked about the fact that it's their responsibility to know what's in their policy, which I thought was kind of enlightened. But I think in a good way, though, too, is they weren't really being critical, just like, well, you really need to understand what it does and what it doesn't.
What about the agents? I mean, the ones that are explaining it to the lay folks like us, when we're like, "Hey, I want a full coverage policy. I want it cheap. I want it now.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with auto insurance in the state of Florida. People call me and they say, I have full coverage. And I'm like, okay, that means a lot of things. Full coverage in the state of Florida is $10,000 in property liability and $10,000 in what they call PIP coverage to cover your medical bills. That's it. That is full coverage in the state of Florida. So people call and it doesn't mean they have collision, doesn't mean they have uninsured motorist, doesn't mean they have rental reimbursement, doesn't mean they have medical payments coverage. None of those things, yet they still have full coverage.
Yeah, so they get an accident, their neck and their back, they get $10,000?
Well, what they get is their medical bills paid up to $10,000 and or lost wages paid at 60% up to $10,000. Now that number, 10,000, got set, I think, in 1974, I believe. And if I'm wrong, it's like 1980 when they made it 10,000 from 5,000. So it's been like 35 or 40 years. It's been $10,000.
Wow.
And so last time I checked,
a little bit of inflation since then.
the cost of medical treatment has gone up in the last 40 years that I've seen. But then that is the full coverage. So people come to see you, and they'll say to their agent, I want to get full coverage. And the agent, I think agents have perhaps a misconception that it has to be the lowest price or they're going to lose the client. And I tell people they should lose you as a customer because they didn't give you enough protection. They saved you $100 a year, and you gave away thousands of dollars worth of coverage. We see that all the time, where they'll get a $5 or $10 premium reduction, and they gave up wind coverage in the state of Florida,
right?
Or give up hail coverage in the state of Florida. And they're like, well, I thought I had it. The guy said I had full coverage. I mean, you have this discussion kind of over and over with everybody.
Where are the mortgage companies in all this? And many people ask that question, and I wonder that all the time. So if they hold the note on the asset, and yet they're not up there with the consumers looking for balance, because their asset could go to nothing if a storm goes over their house. And as we've seen in the papers, over 14 different insurance companies, didn't mention Citizens, so 15 insurance companies denied more than 50% of all the claims filed in the past two storms last year. So I'm at a loss with it. So they had zero coverage.
Yeah. And mortgage companies, I agree. I always thought mortgage companies would take a much greater role, even during the legislative session when these bills are up. I would think the mortgage company would be up there saying, hey, we should establish, or really the mortgage company do it on their own, establish a minimum by contract of the coverage you have to have in order to secure the mortgage, and an obligation to maintain that coverage at that level. Because I agree with you, people buy actual cash value policies, people buy comp policies, all these exclusions in it. Right. And the mortgage company seems to really take a hands-off attitude toward all of that, which to me is shocking because, like you say, that asset is their collateral.
Right, and if they allow surplus lines insurance policy, which they call more of a negotiable contract, which I don't know if many mortgage companies accept that. Most of them will only accept an HO3 policy, which is more of a non-negotiable contract, and it's one that you'll get from your Allsnake and your Snake Farms and those types of ones that will sell you a policy and promise you that you have a certain amount coverage that you have access to. And so what we find out that is, well, you kind of have access to it unless you meet this criteria or you don't, because there's limitations, there's caps, and there's more and more limitations when especially when we talk about the 1% matching. That's a limitation.
Oh yeah.
And then you start talking about like, oh well, you have $10,000 of, like, say if you have a $500,000 worth of coverage, you get a Citizens policy, or you get more and more of these other insurance companies picking up policies will say, well, you have $10,000 of your full entire $500,000, which you think you had in coverage A, but you only have $10,000 to use unless you use our provider, our managed care provider. If you use anybody else, we'll give you $10,000 for the entire loss. The whole thing can burn down, and they'll say, here's your $10,000 if you want to choose your own contractor, which I'm not a politician, but I can read and I see that the Florida statute, though, says in the Consumer Bill of Rights that we can choose our own contractor.
Sure.
But then yet this says that, well, you can, but then you only have $10,000. But then if I have a $500,000 policy, what do I actually pay for? Can I get 90% of my policy premium back then? if I have a claim? Does it work that way, Hans?
No, it doesn't work that way.
I'm confused.
They keep all the money, even if that happens. Well, again, the issue is with the HO3 policy is that it's really HO3. It's almost HO3 in name only these days, because of those limitations, the caps, the exclusions. The HO3 really provides, as we always discuss, ordinance law and replacement cost.
Right.
But there's a lot of ways to manipulate around.
Well, that's not even a thing now now either, replacement costs. Now they got roof surface schedules out, which we were all a part of killing that bill several years back, and then several insurance companies picked up the ball and ran with it. What is OIR doing? They're just rubber stamping everything. I swear that Ray Charles works there. They're just like, stamp, stamp, okay, approve. And you're like, who has the stamp up there? My God. And so it's just everything's getting approved by these insurance companies, except for, we say this all the time, there's two words that we never find next to each other, and it's premium reduction. And at any time in the past, however long that we've known and been involved with it, they've been up in the legislature, and I mean the insurance lobby, saying we're lobbying for all of these rights, and so let's get these bills passed. But really all it does, it takes away consumer rights and their way of being able to make what's right and be whole. So for instance, if you have a $10,000 roof a discrepancy dispute, you need every single penny to put your money back. I am not saving for a brand new roof. And if I need $10,000, I expect to get $10,000 from my provider.
Sure.
And I don't care if I have a 20-year-old roof and 15 years later a storm comes by. Well, when you took my money for it, the condition of my roof was insurable.
Right.
I mean, that's the condition of your roof. You can't post-loss underwrite later on when you have a claim. And I say, hey, my 15-year-old roof got hit by a hurricane. Now, this is what it costs to replace it. And they say, okay, well, here's 20% of your roof. Oop, minus your deductible. Oops, now you have no payment. And then they want to say that I'm not paying for maintenance, and that's what they say to me. I refer back to the old man who drowns in the middle of the lake, right? A 90-year-old man who drowns in the middle of the lake. Is an autopsy going to come back and be like, well, no, you know what? It was wear and tear. It was old age. It was all these things. And it was like, no, it was drowning. That was the cause of death. And in this, it's like the cause of loss is the hurricane. It doesn't matter at what part of stage that the life expectancy is. It was holding water on Monday. Tuesday, it wasn't. However you want to talk about it. And then they want us to act like it's like, oh no, it's like, oh, I'm going to have to replace your tires that are like showing tread. That's what they were trying to compare it to when I was up in the legislature the past couple of years. It was just mind blowing to me. But
I mean, that's not what you bought. What the example of using tires is in fact a maintenance issue, because you didn't buy a policy of insurance from Discount Tire that said if you get a nail in it at any time, no matter how old the tire is. Well, actually, I guess that'd be a good example. That you can buy a replacement cost policy from Discount Tire that says if your tire's unfixable, give you a new tire. That has a cost to it.
Right.
But if I drive in and it's just worn down, they don't give you a new set of tires. But again, that tire can be almost all the way worn down. I put a hole in it and they can't fix it. New tire. That's a replacement cost policy.
That's right.
So you're not looking for a maintenance item here whatsoever. But what I will say is, though, I was worried about, what if a tree falls on my house?
Right.
What am I going to do then?
Right. Well, it was probably your fault for not getting it trimmed prior to storm season.
It's probably true. That may be true. Now, I wonder if they're going to say that's a lack of maintenance, or is that neglect? But either way, I still got a tree on my roof, man.
Right. I mean, when we look at it, it's still the peril is still wind, right? I mean, wind caused movement of the tree, in which then the limb came off.
Right.
Punches a hole through the roof.
Right. It didn't just fall over. I mean, either the ground got soaked and then you have a concurring cause. The ground got soaked and wind came up and knocked the tree down. The tree lands in my house. All I know is I still got a tree on my house. I got no one to take it off.
That's right. And as we mentioned, we're in storm season now. So not only is it a good idea for you to look at your insurance policy and make sure you don't have a managed care provider policy in there. I'm helping a friend out right now that was saving money and bought a policy that has this managed care provider where you have access to $10,000 unless you use their managed care provider, and then you can get it all fixed. And so, she's somebody that's not saving up for that one time of loss, and once in every 10 year or once in a lifetime disaster. And it happened. Plumbing line soaked the entire flooring and all the house. all 2-foot flood cut all the way up for the entire house. Everything needs to be repainted, all the floors, all the walls, new kitchen, uppers and lowers, because they have to match. So the whole house is like, she's like, I just can't do this. So they had to bring in a managed care provider. So they brought in Paul Davis, and they're in, the negotiation of estimates. And right now they're already like, it's $16,000 for the mold. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, my God, so it's like already the chaos is starting, where they're like, you're going to have to come out of pocket a lot of money. Plus, you're going to have to use the provider's person, and she's not happy with who she's using. And so she doesn't have a choice with it. It's like paying full coverage medical, and then you end up getting Medicare procedure or Medicare doctors and care. So it's like, it's they switch it up on you, which is not the best. So make sure you have a policy that's free of limitations. Make sure you don't have any cap language in there, because now they're doing sewer backup caps. Let me tell you, the two biggest losses in the state of Florida are wind and plumbing, right? So you got sewer backups coming in, and you've got all the wind claims and hail and such like that, so from weather. So those are the things you want to make sure you don't have limitations and caps on. Make sure it's like, okay, I don't have a $5,000 plumbing cap on here. Okay, I don't have a $10,000 water damage limit. Okay, great. I don't want a $10,000 all I get unless I use my own contractor kind of policy. I want to make sure I have a policy that covers my full amount. And if you have certain collectibles, we talked about that before, make sure you get additional coverage on it. If you have an additional storage, like or additional shed, like a she shed or something, you've got stuff that is expensive inside of there. Make sure you have the proper coverage for that. Make sure you bind these things now and change your policy. You can change your policy anytime within the year, and it's renews every year. Yeah, you can change it up. You can get it one day and change your mind, and the next day get a new policy. They'll reimburse you that policy. You get the new policy. Get one in there before storm season. I think they cut it off like if 7 days.
72 hours before and 72 hours after. Remember
after a named storm, you're not able to make any changes on your policy. So make sure you check that out now. If you have any questions about that, definitely check us out on the show or send us an email to info@raflorida.org. Be able to help with any questions you might have on there. We're not insurance specialists at all, but we can point you to the right people for sure for your questions. And of course, we always tell you to get out your phone and type in attorney or lawyer or get me out of trouble kind of situation in your phone. And then you can use Hans here for any questions, comments you might have. I think many people have sent you pictures of maybe their policy or damages. Said, hey, is this type of coverage? Can you help me out?
Sure. And my phone number is 407-782-0258, 407-782-0258. And as part of the discussion we have all the time is you want to go around your house and go through the interior of your house, the exterior of your house, and take videos or photos to show the condition of the home inside and outside. I still don't know what to do about my tree on my house that I have. What do I do? Who can help me with that?
Well, let's ask our guest here. We have Jonathan Fricke with Fricke's Tree Service. Did I say that right?
Absolutely.
All right. What's going on, Jonathan?
Not a whole lot, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. And as we were talking, right going up to storm season, what do you recommend to clients that are just calling and say, okay, I've got a whole bunch of stuff around my house. You got tall trees, you got smaller trees. What like that? What do you tell those folks when you come out to their home and looking around, and what kind of things do you look for?
Just a simple trim, man. Really, all we would do is just a canopy elevation and a thin out of centers. That way, we basically just let the wind pass through. So that's basically the biggest deal. Just try not to capture a whole lot of wind, not a whole lot of rain either. You guys were talking about that earlier. You forgot the account of the actual weight of water as well. So wind and rain, definitely want to try to eliminate both of those for the sake of the tree.
Did you say canopy elevation? Is that the word?
Yep, canopy elevation.
Okay.
And
those are big words. I'm a lawyer, but that's a big word about trees. So
taking out all the lower kind of not limbs, but small.
Yep. Like all the droopers. If you actually have limbs that are drooping down real far, basically that's the actual canopy itself. If we actually elevate that and we clean out the center of that right there, will actually allow wind to pass through the tree versus actually stopping it like a whale or a sail on a sailboat, not a whale. That came out a little wrong.
So how often should people come out? I mean, is this something you do like on a subscription basis or an annual basis, or will come every 6 months, or How do you do this with folks?
So it's not really subscription based. Typically, when we do a tree trim, depending on what trees are or what the actual tree species are, it's every 3 to 5 years, given on what it is. So for like live oaks, per se, we'll use those. They're slower growers, so basically we'll come out there, do like a good heavy trim out of them, and they typically good for about 5 years. Laurel oaks or water oaks, for lack of terms, we got to come to them a little sooner than that, probably a good 3 years or so.
How about like palm trees that everybody has?
Those it don't even matter. You can leave those things grow. You can. It's just a aesthetic thing. It's just what you want to look at, and that's really it. Palm trees, they're perfectly fine, completely full, unless HOA says otherwise. Other than that, they can actually stay completely full if you want them to. So.
Oh, wow.
That's good stuff. And then those little suckers that go around the tree, there's just like, what do you think about them? And is that included in your canopy?
That's basically like a center clean out is what that would be. So if you got like new suckers or new growth, whatever the case may be, basically that's just like a standard cleanup. And those, if you're really anal about them, you can get to them about every year or so is when they start coming out and they get to be really profound. So you can
how about if a tree falls? I don't have a tree on my house. I was just saying that. throw him a softball.
Well, if it falls and you're not around to hear it, does it make a sound? Is that what you're about to say?
I was about to ask if there was insurance coverage if I wasn't there and it fell, and I didn't hear it. Is it covered?
Is it covered?
So if a tree falls in my house, is that stuff you do?
Yeah, absolutely. We do full loan removals off of home structures, pool enclosures, off of she sheds, whatever, airplanes. It don't matter, across the pond, animal pond. It don't matter what it is. If it's down or if it's up, we'll get it. It don't matter.
So do you just do trimming removal? Do you do planting, landscaping? What's your business?
We do not do planting. We basically just do the destruction part. We have a whole team that's behind us that can do construction, but we just basically just do the removals and the trimmings. So
okay.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's good. And so right before storm season, is that a good recommendation for you? Is like folks that are looking in their residential homes and their businesses to get them cleared out, get them canopied and ready for the storm season? Ideally,
not right before storm season because everybody else is doing the same thing. So ideally, we'd be probably right now or so. Springtime is typically your good time to do it because typically full swing hurricane season is about September. So if you call September, we might be a little bit booked out. So the sooner the better is the definite thing for you.
So like once in a while, like I'm with the sago or the palm, like all of a sudden, like it kind of grows up, and then it's almost like Little Shop of Horrors. There's this. It looks like I don't know what else to call it. Like the leaves start to drop, and there's like this like giant pine cone looking thing in the middle of the tree. Is that where it grows to get bigger? Is that how it grows up and then it comes?
That is new growth. If it is a sago palm that you're in fact talking about, that is new growth from a sago palm. Yes.
So and that eventually becomes a new part of the post and makes it bigger.
Yep.
Trunk, I guess I should say.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
It's a little freaky looking. I'm not going to lie.
Correct. And if you actually have dogs, those things are terrible to have around your home. Those things are actually extremely poisonous to dogs too. If they actually eat the berries off of there, good chance your dogs will go to the hospital. So keep an eye on those.
Okay.
Keep an eye on those.
So is that something if I were to call and say, hey, I need my sago berries trimmed so my dogs don't die? Is that what I call you about?
I would probably recommend removing it at that point. Yeah, I mean, it might be like a key, unless it's like your grandmother's prized possession or something like that. I'll just say, hey, let's just get rid of it because you'll be calling me back every 6 months, 8 months, whatever the case may be. So it'll just be something that's back to back to back. So it's kind of money.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And if you've watched the third season of what was it? What was that Lotus movie? Or the
White Lotus.
Yeah, White Lotus. Right. Then
I never got that far.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's good. But then it also, him talking about the berries and sick for the dog. You'll put those together. But anyways,
okay.
what is that? Now you mentioned the with your business, you picking up all kinds of things. What's the craziest thing I would that you've seen that you had to pick up big limbs on? I mean, you mentioned airplanes. You mentioned like all kinds of things.
One of the craziest ones that actually comes to mind to me right now is a lightning strike on a pine tree. It was 3 houses down one way, 3 houses down the other way.
Does it split it?
Yes, the actual tree exploded. It actually had shards, 3 houses one way, 3 houses the other way, and directly across the street. So it was a severe lightning strike. So that's probably the worst thing I've ever done.
That's cool.
I have pulled trees out of houses, not just on top of, like out of the living room. I've done that before. So that was a little wild, but probably the most extreme was a lightning strike to a pine tree.
Wow. That's interesting. That's good stuff. All right. And then how do we get a hold of you? If you want, if somebody was listening right now, wanted to have you come out to their home and their business, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just give us a call, 321-240-5613. Again, that's 321-240-5613. If you are the email type person, jonfric@yahoo is the best way to do so. But definitely give us a call or shoot us a text either way at 321-240-5613.
And your website?
Fricke'sTrees@yahoo. I'm sorry, Fricke'sTrees.com.
Love it. All right. Give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right. We're back live on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The Answer. You always have a second shot outside of our Monday night live edition. We're on 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every Monday night. I don't know why I went with edition. I'm just going to go with it, though. Let's forget I said that. But for our episodes, though, we are on Spotify, we're on iTunes, and we're also on YouTube. So make sure you like us, subscribe us there. You'll be able to check out Hans' Dapper Suit of the Week. There goes the post-production. There we go. Zoom in and out there. But you'll have to check us out there on YouTube. We post-produce that, I would say, by midweek. We're up there on our station. So, again, like us, subscribe us there. And check us out if you want to be a part of our association, the Restoration Association of Florida, which we are a nonprofit association by contractors for contractors. Check us out on our website, raflorida.org. Again, that's raflorida.org. And be a part of our network. And today we have Jonathan Fricke with, why did I say Freaky? But either way, we'll go with it.
Pretty close.
It is pretty close. All right. With this tree service, I love it. You guys are doing some pretty cool things. Right before the break, we're saying about, I asked you, what was the craziest thing you came up upon, whether it be just like a big tree on a house and split it. And you referenced lightning just went right through a massive tree and just kind of split it. Mm-hmm. Did it just kind of like Final Destination, like everywhere kind of split, or did it kind of more or less just like kind of like fall in 4 or 5 different directions?
It was right in the middle of both of those. There were shards, all over the neighborhood essentially. And then, it did split basically down the middle of it, and did split out the side, but luckily it had enough fiber in to actually hold it upright. It was definitely right in the middle. It wasn't like a complete explosion, but it was definitely close. So it was definitely one of the worst ones I've ever seen in my life. So.
We are the lightning capital of the world here in the state of Florida, with just so much convection, just so much just going on in the sky, just pew pew pew. And I think I even saw one that you like the noise. Right? You saw there was a headline of somebody from Colorado or something that was down here visiting, and ankle deep water got struck by lightning,
and he died.
Yeah, he died.
And
holy cow!
Yeah. And he's 20. He was 29, I think, and he was holding they got married. They were newlyweds, a delayed honeymoon, and he was holding her hand when it happened.
No way.
I mean, he was holding. I mean, it was in the paper, and that like she felt like a little like a bzzz kind of feeling, and then he just collapsed. I mean, just terrible. Oof. Terrible.
Wow. Now you mentioned
shark bites too.
Yeah, right. I mean, outside of that, now that's on an upswing as well too. The warm waters up here, and so that's the other thing. But you were mentioning during the break, Jonathan, that was it pine trees are just are very attractant to lightning? What's going on with that?
So pine trees are the actual lightning rod of the tree species, and the reason being is all the sap that's actually inside of them. The sap is a really good conduct for electricity. So essentially it's like water, electric kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. So if you actually ever notice when trees get hit by lightning, 90% of them is actually pine trees versus palm trees or laurel oaks or anything like that. So
don't get cover under a pine tree in the middle of a lightning storm.
Correct.
That's what I heard.
Interesting. There you go. We call that news you can actually use. Like you got to make a decision of what to be under. Don't make it a pine tree.
Right. And don't run towards a lake.
So. No, I wouldn't do neither.
Right. Water or pine trees. That's good stuff to understand. But like we mentioned, being prepared for storm season ahead of time, making sure not only you have the right coverages. We also mentioned about I love to tell the story about how Hans had a client where literally a plane fell out of the sky. And on this guy's she shed, and that's all they had coverage for was the amount of their additional coverages for buildings, additional structures rather. Yeah. And so he got hosed on that deal.
A gentleman had it down in Fort Lauderdale, had, like I said, his wife, his mom, and they had an RV and a bunch of stuff in a giant garage, and tool. I mean, just all sorts of things, and that would fall under coverage B. The shed itself, which was a big shed, and there was very low limits on the shed, that was their first mistake. But when the airplane fell out of the sky and landed on it, the insurer's like, we'll give you all the money under coverage B. And it was like $8,000. And the shed was like $75,000. It was it was like almost like a little warehouse. and you're like, and they're like, we're happy to pay. And the guy calls me and he goes, oh, they're ripping me off. They're only going to pay me whatever X dollars. And I said, send me your policy. And I went, sir, you have like the most minuscule coverage B limits I've ever seen. It was like 5% of coverage A or something. So everyone keep in mind, coverage A is your dwelling coverage that covers the home itself. Coverage B is other structures, which would be like a shed or some other detached structure, detached garage, detached workshop, detached shed, all those types of things. And that's always a percentage of coverage A. But it's some percentage, either 10%, 20%. You can buy as much coverage as you want under coverage B as a percentage of coverage A. So had he bought 25% of coverage A, he would have had probably $100,000 in coverage and all would have been fine. But people look at coverage B, and a lot of people tend to make it very low numbers, or the agent brings it to a low number, again, to help reduce the premium. And, because trust me, if you save $50 a year and you have a loss that costs you $50,000, you're never making it back on the $50 a year.
Right. No, you're really not. And in this guy, I mean, whether he trimmed his trees around his she shed or not, it didn't matter.
Right.
A freaking plane fly out of the sky and hit the building. So so you never know.
But it's important. We always talk about it. I'm in trial right now against Universal, and and it's a different kind of case. But one of those things they've alleged is neglect and lack of maintenance. So certainly what can happen, and we certainly have seen it, that people don't take care of the grounds, don't take care of their trees and things like that. And I've seen insurers make those very claims that it wasn't trimmed, it wasn't kept neat, and the additional weight of all that made it more susceptible to fall. And I've seen them allege that type of defense. So I mean, I would tell you, as part of the maintenance plan of making sure the house stays dry inside, the roof keeps everything else dry, make sure the grounds aren't kept in such a way where the insurer can say, is that a photo of that tree from before the law? And it's this massive hanging down thing, or it's bent over. I had a guy come a couple years ago take down 2 palm trees in front of my house because they were leaning. I mean, like you drove up and they were leaning, and I was like, all it's going to take is going to crack right at that joint. Like it's a normal thickness, and it gets a little kind of thinner, and it goes up, and I'm like, oh, it's going to crack right there, man. So I had them take those out, and you got to respond as a homeowner. You got responsibilities. It isn't always fun, but you got to make sure the place is in good shape. Or if there is a loss, they're going to come at you, guns ablazing, trying to find out reasons not to pay.
That's right. That's right. And then, what tips would you have, Jonathan, for those folks that are listening now that are getting ready to prepare their property for storm season or ahead of time, just for or just it's that time of maintenance? And again, I think we might have asked you this, but how often should we come out or have a professional come out and check their property for a maintenance, whether it be to canopy, get rid of the suckers? How often should they come out?
I would say between 3 to 5 years, given on trees, soil deficiencies, water consumption. I mean, there's a bunch of different factors go into it, but a good general rule of thumb is between 3 to 5 years. That's a good starting point. And he was actually mentioned this earlier about lack of maintenance on the trees itself. A good analogy I always use for a lot of people, and it kind of puts it in perspective. If you were to hold a 5-pound weight or 10-pound weight right here, it gets to be pretty light, right? Now, if you hold that thing out right there, it gets to be pretty heavy, and you start to get a little stress. Now, could you imagine, I don't know, 1,500 pounds that stretches over a 40-foot span, and what the actual stress is doing that, and add water on top of that now, and then add wind on top of that. Now, between all of that, that's always a recipe for disaster. Oh, yeah. So definitely lack of maintenance is one of the biggest things. That was a good point that you actually made. Definitely stay on top of them. Just thin out the canopies, do a center clean out, and that's really it. You should be good to go for 3 to 5 years. And even for the cost, just say, $1,500, $2,000, whatever the case may be, over the course of 5 years. I mean, the bang for the buck's really there if you really start thinking about it.
It's like a cup of coffee at Starbucks or less.
Oh yeah.
One of those deals. It's only $2 a day to make sure. I can tell you, I remember when you kind of forget how heavy trees are. It sounds like a stupid thing to say, but when they cut down these palm trees in front of my house, and they cut them, relatively small, but they were still of substance. And I'm like, oh, let me take these to the curb for the Wednesday. I was thinking, so I get a little workout in, do a little outdoor work. Man, I mean, the smallest piece, it was real. I'm not a small guy. I was like, this stuff is heavy, man. It might just falling on your house, man. These pieces.
And that's a tree that don't have a whole lot of water in it. I mean, they have a fair amount of water inside of it, but the laurel oaks or water oaks, for lack of terms, they got water oak for a reason. Those things are just completely saturated with water. So a lot of times we'll cut these trees down. We can actually hang them up, and you can almost take a shower under them. So if you figure a gallon of water is 8 pounds is what is or was. If you times that by, let's say, 60 gallons or so inside this thing, and then you got the actual density of the wood itself. I mean, we can have a log that's, say, 24 inches diameter, 6 foot long, and it would probably weigh 1,200 pounds. I mean, that's how fast it adds up.
That's a lot. I mean, that's like you're starting to get into like a small car.
That's a Volkswagen Beetle. You're just shy of a Volkswagen Beetle. So put that in perspective.
Drop that on your shingle roof.
No kidding. And so your specialty is is the tree trimming and full removal.
Correct. Yep, we do tree trimming, tree removals, obviously hazard removals, anything over houses, power lines.
How about stump grinding?
Oh, we love it, man.
Because I'll tell you, a lot of guys will come out. I had a couple over time. You kind of hopefully you learn a little bit as you age. And guys will come, they'll say, "Oh, and cut down your tree or do this for X dollars." Mm-hmm. And then I remember years ago when I first learned this, and they cut down a tree, and I'm like, and it was gone. I was like, "What do you do with stump? Oh, stump's extra." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "What do you mean extra?" And it was like a bunch extra, wasn't? And they didn't even do it. They had to like sub it out to some other guy. I'm like, "Oh, you got me. They got me."
Wrap a chain around it and drive. Pull it with you. Just take it with you. Why can't you just pull it with you?
So stump grinding, I mean, because really, it's amazing. You take a tree out, you're like, oh, it's so nice having it gone. But if you have the stump left, I mean, it's unless you're going to want to make it into you use it as a table and sit out there and have lunch. I mean, really, it's like not going to cut at all. Because it looks like now it's worse. You've actually left this thing in your front yard.
This eyesore, this thing you got to mow around and you got to look at it. The only time you can leave the stump and get away with it is if you put like a potted plant or something like that and you put some annual flowers inside of it. Then you can get away with it. But 9 times out of 10, HOAs are like, no. Tree comes down, stump must be ground. And that's typically, it's a given, like it has to be done. So we do stump grounding as well. And that's another question we always ask.
HOA nightmares are good for you. So if somebody's in an HOA, just do it before September.
Yes, before September, by all means.
And if they do want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Just give us a phone call, 321-240-5613.
Awesome. Is that text or call?
Text or call. Yep, it's a cell phone number, and you'll be talking to my other half, Jennifer. She is a pleasant person to talk with.
Love it, love it.
Well
Fricke's
said.
Tree Service, FrickesTreeService.com. That's FRICKES treeservice.com. That's how you'll find them. All right, love it, man. With everything coming up, with we think is going to be a pretty climatic storm season. It's good to be ready to get your trees trimmed every 3 to 5 years, or if you don't remember the last time you've had your trees canopied. If you don't know what that means, it's a good idea to give Jonathan a call. So it's good stuff. We have one more break for you. We'll be right back after a minute. Give some thanks to our sponsors, and we'll finish up. We'll be right back. All right. We're back live on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial, The Answer, and to you on Spotify, on YouTube, on iTunes, everywhere you can stream. You can find us, like and subscribe us anywhere you like to listen to your streaming or watch us there on YouTube. And I'd love to have you tune in, check out our show and our guest as well. If you like what you hear and you want to be a part of our network and you're a contractor yourself, check us out at raflorida.org. That's raflorida.org. Again, you can check us out there on that website, be a part of our network, and even become a member. If you are a member of our association, not only do you have free access to all of our trade show events that we put on, but also to the access to all of our other members, where you can join up with them, be a part of their network, and as you grow and expand your business here in Central Florida and the whole state of Florida. So, and today we do not disappoint on our show here with Jonathan talking about some good stories, some fun stories about tree trimming, tree removal, stump grinding. You do it all, and you do it all in-house.
All in-house, yeah.
That's awesome. I love it, man. And now is the time, and I was just joking about it because people always wait to the last minute. Talk about be prepared for storm season. And right now, people don't know that they need you, but they need you right now. I actually need you, because I'm just thinking about, oh my gosh, I waited way too long to start getting estimates. Do you guys offer free estimates?
We do. Yep.
Awesome. And where's your coverage?
So we use Sanford as like our base point. So we do like a good 30 mile an hour or 30 miles around Sanford area. So we'll go like as far as Daytona, Ormond Beach, down. We try to stay north of the airport. We'll do like Claremont, Tavares area, and we've been as far as Cocoa. So it kind of gives you like a general idea of a big circle, like where we actually service.
Awesome. That's great. And so, like you said, you offer free estimates. So if you're right now, you're somebody that needs to get the tree out of there, you're in an HOA, so you got to grind the stump. You can offer that all in-house. Like Hans was saying sometimes, I had this guy come out and then he's like, no, I got to sub it out to this other guy.
For more money.
You know, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just more of an opening opportunity for things to happen. Like the guy fell through the roof. Anyways, that's a whole other story. And it's like, who's liable for that? We literally had a caller call in and it's like, okay, I use this roofing company. They subbed it out to this wholesaler or whatever you call them, a company where that guy fell through the roof, and then the main guy that was the that sold the roof didn't want to pay for it. You know, then they're like, it's the subs crew that has to pay for it, but the subs like, no, that anyway. So it's like, holy cow, that was an interesting show.
Which would mean you're licensed, insured, bonded, whatever all those things may be.
Licensed, insured, yep. Yeah, we're not bonded. That's just
yeah. Well, I mean, insured's fine. I just throw those three things out there.
Yep.
Well, that's good to know too, because I've had guys who have suggested. I said, well, show me your commercial general liability coverage. Showed me a piece of paper. It looked like it was like the Declaration of Independence. It was like on parchment. It was all old, and the edges are all curled up. And I'm like, how old is this? Oh, we just got it. I'm like, dude, this thing's been around. This thing's like sat on your dashboard for the last 5 years.
Yep.
No one asked for it. So yeah.
You can't hit print in these new days and times for sure. But it's a good point and question. It's what we usually say at the beginning of every storm season is not only make sure, to go get estimates on for all the preparedness yourself. You're taking pictures of your property, taking videos, making sure you get all of your big ticket items on a photo, on video as you go around your house, around the outside and around the inside of your home. But make sure that the folks that you are getting estimates for are licensed and insured. And yes, word is your bond, so maybe your bond. But make sure that when they show up, that they don't have a problem showing you their insurance, and that it's up to date. General liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance is important. And as you mentioned, everything you do is in-house. That's awesome.
Yeah, and another thing with the insurance is actually call the insurance carrier, because I've actually seen where people are forging things and actually stating that they actually have insurance. And I've actually heard where they do not have insurance. They come over, just wipe out the house, and oh man, we're just jumping a truck and taking off. And the homeowner's like, hey, I thought you had insurance. And they want to call the insurance carrier, and they're like, we haven't had insurance on them in 5 years. Or they lapse, wherever the case may have been. So I've actually heard of that a handful of times too. So if you do being actually call the insurance company.
And here's one thing too, just for people to keep in mind about commercial general liability coverage. What that does is that covers negligence that occurs on your property. So if a worker comes to your home and drives over to your mailbox, that's negligence. If while he's performing the services you contracted for him to do, he falls through your roof, his insurance doesn't cover that because it's in the course and scope of his work. So just want to keep in mind, which is why you want to use someone who's well-known or reputable. Guys in a truck usually don't have coverage. If they have coverage, it may be very minimal coverage. It may have no coverage and expired coverage, all those things we talked about. But if a reputable company causes some damage in the course and scope of what you hire them to do, they'll make right on it. They'll do right by and get it done and do all those things. There's one reason why, like, guys knock on my door all the time and go, hey, I'm here to trim trees. And I'm just like, sorry, man.
You're not.
I can't have you doing that. Get off my property.
I'm here from Alabama. I'm just here, just coming through the neighborhood, just swinging all the way through, and then going back home.
And then, I know he's telling me, we're cutting a bunch of guys down the street. And I always look out and there's nobody getting their trees trimmed. So they just go, we're working in the neighborhood already now. I thought I'd come by, and I'm like, whose house are you working at? And they go, it's up around the hill there. And you go, I don't see anybody up there at all.
Just tell them to get inside the truck. I want to go see your job real quick, just so I can make sure you're actually working out. Just drive around for them a little bit.
People do. Everyone wants to get a good deal. It's all what I say about roofing. There's nothing more expensive than a cheap roof. And that applies really across all things. Everyone wants to save some money. Nothing wrong with that. But you start taking something like tree trimming or tree cutting, and something's going to fall on your house that weighs 1,200. That one piece weighs the weight of a Volkswagen Beetle. You want to get somebody who's honestly, ideally local, not people who are carpetbagging, coming in and just doing the work. I mean, it really makes a difference, because if you got a problem, you want to know where the guy is, as opposed to, I have a card with a disconnected phone number.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Sanford. Is that where your shop is?
It is.
That's awesome.
We're based out of the Sanford area. And to add on what you're saying, it's the old school rule of thumb is pick any three, good, cheap, and fast. You're not going to get all three. You got to pick two. So figure out which one you want.
That's right. Right. I say that all the time. In the triangle of business, right? Good, fast, and cheap. Pick two. I love that. And it's totally right. I mean, I always think about the meme that always comes around as well, when it's like, hey, can you do it cheaper? You have your full photo of the Mona Lisa at first, and it's like, yeah, sure, and you swap that out, and it's like one drawn in crayon. You're like, here you go. And so so it basically you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Like, once in a while, like on Facebook, I'll see like it'll pop up. It'll be like some shirt or something. I go, that's nice, and it's like $20. You're like, I'm still gonna get ripped off. But you go, it looks really nice, and then you order you order it big because it's coming from China, right? And they make the stuff really small. And because first time you do it, you order like a large, and it shows up, and it's like literally it's like doll size. It's like this tiny little shirt, and it's the same kind of thing. You're thinking, oh, get something cool and it'll be inexpensive. It never works out.
No.
You really do got to pay for good work, man.
Mm-hmm. You really do. You really do. And as you mentioned, you get free estimates. There really isn't a maintenance program here, so it's more of like a one-time shot to come out and lift the trees, make sure there's no dead stuff hanging out there.
Well, here's the question. How do I know I need you? Unless you just call them to come out.
Well, I would imagine if you have a house with trees around it.
Yes.
But I don't know. I mean, trees, it looks okay. I mean, I don't know, the tree looked okay.
You can never be too sure until it's too late. So
that's right.
If you look at a tree like, maybe I should trim that, just stop what you're doing and find us, give us a call, and we'll come out there and take a look at it.
Or go on Facebook and look up tree cutting videos.
Yeah.
Those are the best. The people on like the ladder up there, they got a chainsaw and they cut through the thing and it swings back and it knocks the ladder.
Watch this all out. Yep.
Man, that stuff is, I mean, it got tears in your eyes laughing at that.
Well, I was going to say, how do you get the limbs 30 feet up in the air when there's some super tall trees?
So we actually have a lift, excuse me, a cherry picker, a lift, whatever you want to call it. Our lift is actually capable of running 70 foot in the air, and it's got a 40-foot side reach. So there's not a whole lot that we cannot get in Central Florida area. Now, if we're in California, different. But Central Florida, we're good to go. We can reach just about anything we need to reach with the 70 foot.
70 up, 40 out?
Yep. Got to run 70 foot straight up in the air, and then we got a 40-foot side reach as well. So.
Wow.
It's basically like a semi-truck length we can reach sideways, and then if you stand it up on its butt, we can reach 20 foot taller than that too. So if you kind of look at that, when you're driving beside a semi tomorrow or tonight or whatever the case may be, look over and like, man, that thing's kind of long. Yeah. Our lift's that big. So
really? Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I asked you during the break, I was like, man, do you do like those roadsides, get hired by the counties and governments and such like that? And you said you're working on it.
Yeah. We actually have it in this year. We have a good friend of ours that's got connections inside the system. So we're going to go ahead and start doing that this year. We're actually going to do like the push to clear the roadways. So we'll have one crew doing that, and our other crew will actually be doing full-blown removals off of homes and structures and things of that nature too. So
right. Yeah, because you mentioned also some complex work. So if there's like power lines or if there's just something that's just complex or maybe it was called technical, I think how you mentioned it, the technical removal.
Yep, technical removals. And I mean, you think technical, you're thinking of power lines and stuff like that, but it can be something as simple as pavers. If you have a tree lead that's going over top of pavers, some people just cut it and just let it hit the pavers. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, it slipped out or something like that. I mean, that could be something technical between that or just flower beds, or if you have water features out of below trees or a shed or anything like that. Anything that's going to be a direct object that we actually have to rope around, that's going to be a technical removal. So.
That's good to know.
How about roots under pavers?
We do that as well. So that would be fall under the stump grinding. We actually have a good friend of ours that lays pavers. So he'll actually pull the pavers up, have us come in and do the stump grinding, and then they'll actually reinstall the pavers. So that's the only thing we'll sub out. So keep that in mind.
That's good to know. But if you are listening to this and you have a contact in the counties, the government, roadsides, that kind of thing for tree trimming, give them a try. Give Jonathan a try. Fricke's Tree Service, FrickesTreeService.com. That's spelled FRICKES, treeservice.com. Check him out there. If you have an in, hook him up, man. And what's your phone number? How do we get a hold of you?
Telephone is 321-240-5613. And that is a text line as well. That is a cell phone, so you can text or give us a call either way.
That's awesome. That's great, man. I'd long time ago, I was in the landscaping side of things and picking up commercial work. We ended up picking up a lot of the parks and stuff like that, the maintenance and the lawn spraying and stuff like that. So it's cool getting the government work. They suck at paying, but it is right. All right. But it was a fun experience. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. Not only the money side of things, just the experience. I mean, if you're driving down a road that you travel all the time, if there's a tree laid across it, by the time you come by there every time you drive through there, you remember that tree was sitting there that you actually helped clear out of the way or whatever the case may be. So it's not just the money side of things, it is actually just trying to help out and just do our part. So.
Right. What would you say your busiest time of the year is?
Busiest times, obviously hurricane season. About
before
August.
or after? Is it people freaking out before, or is it people that are they've got limbs everywhere afterwards?
When there's a storm that brews right off Africa and comes ripping through here, about 3 days before the hurricane actually hits, that's our busiest time.
No kidding.
So do not call me then, because it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. I would think it would be afterwards. Every trees, limbs everywhere. People are calling you, saying, "Come get this stuff out my yard."
It's like the calm before the storm, but it's actually after it. Typically when we get a phone call or when a storm comes through, the phone calls kind of slowly start trickling in, and about 2-3 days after that, they're full swing. So, but we are actually busier prior to the storm. So,
wow. So give him a call now. Give Jonathan a call now. One more time on your phone number.
It is a 321-240-5613.
All right. Get your tree trims. Get your trees trimmed, and be set up ready for storm season. If you need a big tree removed, give Jonathan a call. Some complex technical work there, which is a really cool specialty that not many people have. So I enjoyed having you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having us, man. It's been a experience.
Awesome. Definitely for us as well. And Hans, it's been a great show as always. And I love your dapper suit of the week this week. Great choice.
Trial week. In trial this week. Got to step it up.
Yeah. Good luck. I mean, you have a 99% chance of winning. So, love you, Todd. But anyways, it's been a great show, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Have a good week. See you.